Yeah, boy, we back again, back again. It is time to talk that Falcons again, man. Hey, now one thing about it, you can always have a plan, but sometimes sports just jumps in the way and just takes it away and just goes in a totally different direction. We had a
Right.
whole script lined up, but I'll tell you one thing: we have no choice but to talk about the breaking news, and we're going to get into it momentarily, man. Y'all come on in and join us. 8 o'clock show. We're actually on time, man. We actually was a few seconds early to be actually exact, but we got a
I get
special
that
guest
why it
on
been
here with
thundering outside. I guess that's why it's
that
thundering
probably
outside.
why. That probably why and everything. But we got a special guest, but he's really kind of starting to turn into family, if you ask me. And that's my
Facts.
guy Clint Goss, man, NFL Draft Dome. But we're on here talking Falcons football. But first things first, man, Clint, how you doing? Smitty, how you feeling? And we're gonna get to the chat, and then of course get into the breaking news.
Right.
Hell, I'm feeling good. I mean, I even had to throw on a London jersey to do this. Here by myself with the kids tonight, with the wife out of town, and got that news. Was glad they got to bed because I had to get back on here and get talking about that some. But
Mhm.
yeah, hell, at this point, it's about my fourth or fifth time on the show. Glad to be back. This was a nice one to have lined up for a night like this. But I'm pumped about the London news on top of the other 7 or 8 topics we're going to talk about on the show.
Yeah.
Facts.
Facts.
Smitty, how you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling good, man. And I got to explain myself. I hate to say it because it was going to be either be me, it was going to be you. It was going to be one or the other. But man, I got to eat some words, man. And y'all know, um, when I say something, I mean it. But the thing about me, I stick to what I say. But I will say this: I don't write the checks, and I'm all for the logo. So we gonna go for it. But say what's up to the chat, man, before we get to moving.
Hey man, chat. What's happening? What's going on? What's popping? What's percolating? Y'all know if y'all from Atlanta, y'all know all those terms anyway. But we're gonna start. What's up, Rock Kizzy? Let's go, Drake. Yes, sir. DBG 11. What's happening? Yep, with the Drake London 4 year extension. Furball, what's happening? How you feeling? See this thing acting up. Won't even want to pull folks up. But Furball, what's happening? Let's see. Kelvin O'Connor, what's going on, man? Yep, congratulations to Drake. RB. Oh, okay. Still in Canada. All right, cool. Monte Carlo, how you feeling, man? What's happening?
I just
Prince
called him
Kale,
eight
how you
two.
feeling? Right. Melvin, how you feeling as well, man? Shout out to everybody who's already here. Shout out to everybody who's on the way. Yeah, but again, Drake London, man, 4 year massive extension. Now it's 141 million, but with those incentives, it can get all the way up into 150 million dollars. And honestly, man, guys, I talked about it before with Smitty. We talk about the wide receiver market, and this
Yeah.
now makes first of all Drake. He's going to be under contract all the way through the 2030 season, but also with the $100 million in guarantees. This is $100 million guarantee. I'm actually cool with. You see how the market is. Drake is going to be getting 35.25 million a year, third highest paid wide receiver in the NFL behind Jackson Smith and Jigma and Jamar Chase. Fellas, tell me how you feeling.
Go ahead, Clint, because I feel like I'm gonna have to explain
Yeah,
myself.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
This is
I hear it. I hear it as far as third in the league from an AAV standpoint. But really, when you look at the cap allocation percentage with the fullness of this deal, he comes out to the ninth highest paid. And anyone that wants to dive into that deeper, look into Spot Track and explain it better than I can at this moment.
Yeah,
But to
yeah.
put him at ninth paid, that no duh feels a little more comfortable, but that's a little more accurate to where he'd be. I'm extremely high on London. Do I think he's the third best receiver in the league? Probably not. Do I think he's
right.
in that ninth realm? Yes. uh,
Yes, absolutely.
I think when you look at what we could have expected with this, that Garrett Wilson deal at 4 years, 130 million that was made before the $22 million that got added to the cap space for teams league wide here recently. that was the absolute floor for this with London. It wasn't going to be any less than that. To come out at 141, you were right there in the ballpark, particularly with that cap increase. And let's get real. I mean, not to say in any way that London held us hostage, because I think he really wanted to be here. We really wanted him to be here. But if he walks out of this receiver room, you're screwed, dude. I mean, yeah. I mean, this you just are. This isn't a we don't have to worry about paying George Pickens because we got CD Lamb in the house. It's like, dude, London walks out. We're talking about Jahan Dotson being your one potentially. That's to say just how urgent this was. When you look at having this 5th-year option to play on this year and then really starting it, it kind of comes out more to like a 5-year, $150 plus $1 million deal. That kind of softens the blow a little bit as well. You're looking right now in 2027, currently have the 7th most cap space league wide. You got 9 to 10 draft picks in this draft to get some cheaper talent. The timing on this was very well done. Really, they couldn't wait any longer here. They needed to pull the trigger for the dominoes to be London, Bijan, and then Pitt. Somebody had to fall. London was next in line. And, and lastly, I would just say, let's just remember this guy's 24 years old, man.
Yeah, just 24.
He doesn't turn 25 till the last week of July. So this really lines him up right before coming into age 30. And then, like with any player, looking at that next wave of beyond 30, I like that timeline as well. But I'm very excited. I mean, we're talking about a player that's just a hair under 1,000 yards a year in the 4 years he's been here, and that's with having only played 12 games last season. That's having played with some abysmal quarterback play for the most part. That's having played with no supporting cast as far as a receiver 2 or receiver 3. All that to say that the best can be ahead of him, but he's got a great foundation. And one of the centerpieces of this team. I mean, I've said for a long time, if nothing else, London is that guy on this team that's ready to go throw hands for somebody, and you got to kind of have one.
There you go.
He's got that fire. He's got that spark. He's stepping into more of a leadership role. I'm high on this. I'm very excited.
Oh, yeah. Smitty, before you go real quick, let me drop a few numbers just to add to Clint. Really point. Going back just over his first 4 seasons, we're talking about a guy that's over 300 receptions already. Right there on the cuff of over 4,000 yards, 22 touchdowns. Of course, he had the 12 games because dealing with some injuries, but he still almost had another 1,000 yards, nearly 70 catches. He had 68, still another 7 touchdowns. So again, he was really on his way as far as like with touchdowns and numbers and everything, like to really pass by what he did in 2024, which was considered his breakout season with those 100 receptions and over the 1,200 yards and the 9 touchdowns. But his PFF grade, for those who care about those, he received an 88 overall, and that was ranked 5th out of 81 qualified receivers, and also 89.9 a grade, which was also 5th in the NFL, still dominating with over 76 yards per game. And that's like a top 3 wide receiver finish before he was before he got hurt. Now, we already talked about the culture in the locker room. He's a locker room type of guy, mature guy. You hear that cliche about like guys checking every box. Well, the personnel and the coaches really do feel like that about Drake London, and just about like the cap and everything. Remember, the contract doesn't kick in until next season because he's already locked into that 5th year option at $16 million. So that's important. And the Falcons are projected to have anywhere between like 125 to 141. The salary.
But you guys subtract Kirk Cousins did cap space too. So always got to keep that in mind. For everybody that's listening, just always keep that in mind. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but that's part of the surplus, though, because you got that 45 day cap hit because of the June 1st hits now. So now Drake London's contract can be absorbed until next year's contract, and it's really a good deal for both teams. Like Clint said, on paper it says he's 3rd overall as far as like the top paid receivers, but he's really 9th, and it's a great deal for the Atlanta Falcons.
Facts. Miss Carey, thank you for that donation. Truly appreciate it. She said, yeah, Drake, well deserved. Have a great show, y'all. We truly appreciate it, Miss Carey.
Yeah, truly
appreciate it. Well, I just got to say this, and y'all know me. I stick to my guns on this show. Um, we always know the market always wins, and that's even when on a 9 to 5 job. Um, 37.25 at its peak is a lot, but like Clint said, y'all keep a number on that guaranteed money. It's on $100 million, so at the least, he's going to be anywhere from that 25 to 30 range. And the contract starts next year. So the only problem that I had is I just felt like, with the other top receivers like Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, guys like that with top end speed can take over the game. Um, I have yet to see that from Drake, but I have seen glimpses of him being able to just take the spotlight. The New England game probably should have won that game. He dominated. Another game he had about 2 years ago, he had about 13 catches in the game, and we've seen flashes. But now that you've got this contract, you got to take it up another notch. You got to work on, long speed, vertical routes, get in the end zone a little bit more. You just got to step your game up just a little bit more as a number one receiver. They have went out and got him help, and I think it's adequate help, but how much we don't know. The only question I have from this point on is, what does this mean for Kyle Pitts? That's the only question I have, because Drake gets his contract. He's on the franchise tag. Kyle is. So my quick question to y'all: what does this mean for Kyle Pitts?
I don't know. I really don't. I think first impression is they'd like to have him back. I know he wants to be here. He has said that. I mean, really hadn't put on any kind of poker face as far as this is where he wants to be. He's married. He's got 2 young children here. Um, we'll see. I mean, as far as it being a number that lines up, I know if you look at Stefanski, traditionally, Pitts really should be kind of a dream situation for him schematically at a tight end standpoint, for that to be such an emphasis for him. It's just going to be a matter of the numbers lining up. I will say no more interest than they showed in this past draft at adding another tight end. I mean, we were talking about like the UDFA they signed for a day and a half and cut the kid out of Auburn.
Yeah.
Maybe
Brandon.
that's something they wait to look into
Brandon
next
Frazier.
year.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Frazier, thank you. Should have remembered that name. I don't know. I mean, I think too. We talked about the dominoes of Pitts, London, and Bijan.
Right.
You talk about Drake got about the 9th best money. Bijan gonna get the number 1 money.
Without a doubt.
I mean, he just did, and he deserves it. So we'll see. I think there are some things that we can't gauge right now. Particularly at quarterback. It's like, Penix comes out, looks good. We got him going into a 5th-year option, and they want to pick it up, and they got quarterbacks seeing about cool beans. They got to go into the draft, take another one on a rookie deal. That's different. They want to go and take another swing at somebody in free agency. That's bigger money.
Right,
but if
right.
Tua hits for you, not speaking for Tua, but just looking at him traditionally, he ain't going to cost 1.3 if he comes out and plays well. I think
Right.
some of those variables they're going to have to wait on. And in terms of Pitts, there was having a wait and see. With London, there wasn't that wait and see. You've seen him play with inadequacy at quarterback. It ain't going to get worse.
Amazon drivers.
It ain't going to get worse. We look at him physically. I'll tell you, for him to have always been listed 6'4", 215, and he's the best blocking receiver in the league, you can just look at some of his training camp videos. But Buddy's been hitting the buffet line and the biscuits in a good way, and he's been hitting the weight room. I mean, not to sit here and talk about my measurables compared to a guy that just got paid $140 million. But he's 6'4", 215. I'm about 6'5", 215. Cuz looks like he's got 15, 20 pounds on me right now. A lot more cut up than me, but you get the point. Just comparatively. I mean, that's a big dude. He's in the best shape I've ever seen him. He's got this run blocking role. I think that's only going to get better. But going back lastly, like I said, I think the QB variable is a big one. And in comparison to Pitts, you're going to have to see that. And Pitts, you're going to have to see a year stacked on a year. It's like when you look back at
Right.
what you've gotten out of London, it's been about 900 yards, about 900 yards, about 1,300 yards, about 900 yards, and that's only in 12 games.
Yes.
You've seen somebody about an average about 6 touchdowns a year, and that's with some injuries. He would have gone higher than that. With this poor QB play, well, we saw Pitts as a rookie with Ryan. We saw Pitts come back and hit it hard this year. We haven't seen London have a big injury in his career, knock on wood. You can literally hear me doing it right here in the garage. Versus with Pitts, they want to see it 2 years in a row. So that's kind of a loaded response, but he's just going to have to be a wait and see versus that of London.
No, I ain't gonna lie. You hit the nail on the head right there about toward the end about, Drake, he's already done it, multiple times. We know that he can do it. So it's like, okay, you feel more comfortable giving him that money. With Kyle Pitts, I would not be surprised if Kyle Pitts has to play on that franchise tag and possibly prove it yet again, prove that you're engaged, prove that you're out here to win. I mean, he said when they asked him in the interview about, hey, do you want to be a Falcon? I just want to win. Okay, well,
Right.
go out there and win. You go out there and win your matchups, go out there and win your blocking assignments, and just be the best football player you can be, really, man. And that's how you're going to be able to get that money. I think if he has back-to-back seasons, or if he has some kind of way be able to eclipse the numbers that he put up last season, I definitely think that the Falcons will entertain, since signing Kyle Pitts. Because, I mean, let's keep it real. The way that these contracts and everything can get structured, you can place it to where, it's favorable for the team. You just got to work it out with the player and the agents, of course. But I wouldn't be
Right.
surprised. Like, again, I still stand on what I said too, though. Until I see Kyle Pitts running out there week 1, I still believe there is a
Oh,
possibility
I agree.
it would be
I
traded.
agree. Oh, I absolutely 200% agree. Um, with Kyle Pitts, yeah, y'all right. You got to see it back to back. But the thing that I liked last year, man, he asserted himself. Maybe it was a contract. Yeah, I don't know. But he kind of got back to being that tight end he was his rookie year. Now, the thing about him that I said about Drake, I still need to see him stretch the field just a little bit more because it's 6'6", 255, 260, 4.4 speed. A guy that big, 83-inch wingspan, stretch the field. You got to get in the end zone a little bit more. 5 touchdowns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Crazy that number played out like that. But
Right.
assert yourself to being a red zone target, just like I talked about Drake. With these two quarterbacks, and Tua, who I think is going to start, and I'm going to say it again. When you have a quarterback that's not scared to throw it over the middle or, throw it up and throw it deep, like Tua Tagovailoa has in Miami, yeah, he had a track team, but he has speed here as well. So he's going to assert himself. He's going to try to put up points. And I think Kevin Stefanski, Tommy Reese, and Alex Van Pelt are going to try to stretch the field because we know they love play action. So it sets up perfect for these receivers and Bijan because the type offense they're going to run is going to showcase their skills and highlight their skills just a little bit more. So the next year is going to be interesting to see how these contracts shake out. Now, again, Chris, I agree. We don't know what's going to happen with Cal until he hits the field week 1. And they're probably still getting phone calls at this moment. Who knows? But I will say this. With the talent that we brought in on at the tight end position with Joshua Simon, still have Charlie Warner, who's the blocking tight end, and you still got guys on the market that you can bring in at tight end. So it's just interesting to see how it just shakes out.
Don't forget old Falcon Austin Hooper in there too.
Austin Hooper as well. I forgot about Austin. My bad. But yeah, with the talent they brought in, yeah, it still can happen. But at the end of the day, if they can get team friendly deals for Kyle, I think it works for everybody because we know you're not getting a team friendly deal with Bijan. But if you can do that with Kyle, if he wants to stay, he'll find a way to make it work. If he stays in the $14-15 million range, I'm all for it.
The versatility is going to be fascinating in terms of who
Agreed.
takes the step up, who takes advantage of it this year. It's like what separates the men from the boys as far as you're starting 32 quarterbacks in the league, who can throw up the seams against all these evolving cover 2 defenses. To your point about throwing over the middle, Tua having the accuracy for that, Penix having the horsepower for it, the size and speed and the wingspan of Pitts. You just signed London to all this money as somebody that can play the X, but has also really shined at that power slot, kind of Justin Jefferson in Minnesota role as well. You mentioned the track team in Miami. Well, we tried to go get the closest thing in the draft in Zachariah Branch. What do you see of that, particularly if Tua comes in as your quarterback? There could be a lot of security blanket there. The fact that he had the highest snap share as far as within 1 to 3 yards of the line of scrimmage, his yards after catch ability. Look, we talk so much about these coordinators and these play callers and the opportunities in the league where teams are kind of synonymous, but then those small areas where you get to be creative and you get to separate yourself from each other. There's enough here. Reese Stefanski, and I love the fact you mentioned Pelt. Yeah. You can't get creative with this, buddy. I don't know what to tell you. You need another canvas.
And what I would like to see that they did, and they started for some reason against the Saints last year, you see a lot of 12, 13 personnel out of this team where you line Kyle Pitts up at the Y and you put Zachariah or one of the other receivers, Jahan Dotson, in the slot. That's going to be hard to stop, because are you going to try to stop Kyle on the outside, or are you going to try to stop Jahan Dotson from killing you on the post route or deep fly route? I mean, it's just going to be interesting to see, because if these 3 guys or these 4 receivers get to going early, I'm telling y'all, Bijan gonna have anywhere from 1,700 to 2,000 yards, because we know they love play action, and if they can get the offense going in the right direction, jump out to early leads, it opens up the run game just a little bit more. So yeah, I just want to see what this offensive staff is going to do. But what I've heard in OTAs, and shout out to Daniel Flick, man, great news. He always bringing the news. Nothing but positive thing coming out of Kyle Pitts. So they believe in him, and if they believe in him, that should boost him up just a little bit more. But again, I just can't wait to see what they do with this personnel all together, and it's going to be amazing to watch.
I tell you, before you get away from that, you just mentioned Flick. How awesome was that hire, man? I mean, I know Daniel we wrote together at Falcons Sports Illustrated for a good while. It's just a great dude, really talented. Right. I was so damn excited just as a consumer, but also for him. That's the kind of guy that will cover this team for 3 decades.
Same. I can't wait for it.
We will cover this team until I'm an old man.
Hey, and that's great, because Daniel, he really loves the team, and he does great work. We've talked about him. We've had him on here too. Great friend of the show as well, just like you, Clint. And it's just like, I'm just so happy for him. He went away for a second, and then as soon as it seemed like the position became available, and then on top of that,
Wayne got a natty with Indiana, and then just said,
shit.
Yeah, man.
Daniel winning. He done went and got championship ring. Yeah, I mean, crazy thing is, man, when I talked to Daniel while he was off at school, man, he was always in great spirits. So he always keeps a positive attitude, man. And to get to work with Torrey McElhaney, man, and Martin Zeno and guys like that, and to take over for the legendary D. Orlando Ledbetter, what better way to start your career than take over for a legend? So we know he got big shoes to fill, and I think he's going to do a wonderful job at doing it. But our new Falcon fan is in the building. Bentley, what's up, man?
Welcome. Yeah, man. They came, they said they're a fan because, we had picked up Tua. So they are now officially fans of the Atlanta Falcons. We welcome them. Hey, man, we had the same things that happened when we got Jonathan Kuminga. All the Kuminga fans came over for the Hawks. So, hey, man, welcome. But you talked about Bijan, and y'all mentioned Bijan. There's a couple things that we have to talk about Bijan. Actually, I got something. I got a question. But also, Bijan Robinson, we talked about the speedsters like the Zachariah Branch and all those guys. And I believe that those guys are going to be, and Brian Robinson Jr., those guys are going to help out in the run game and be extensions of the run game. You just get the ball to Zachariah Branch and get the hell out of the way. And then, just let them get down the field and just, creating space. And then you also think about Brian Robinson. He's a tough guy as well, that when Bijan needs a breather, he doesn't mind carrying the load. He's done it multiple times and actually been a complementary piece, in different aspects, different teams. So I'm really excited about those guys. excited about Jahan Dotson as well because I really feel like a lot of people are sleeping on him. Maybe I'm just looking back at his numbers when he was with the Washington Commanders, and I'm just fearing that he can come here and do similar, or if not, exceed expectations. Again, he's not our number one receiver, but if you didn't pay Drake, he might have been. So glad we ain't got to worry about that. But talking about Bijan Robinson, let us pray had a question, and it's leading really into another question that we're going to be answering about Bijan Robinson as well. But he just wanted to know, I wanted to ask, what does Bijan's deal look like, hypothetically speaking now? Clint, you go ahead.
That's a good question.
Top ahead, in terms of guaranteed money, hell, it's Jeremiah Love that's the top of the market right now, being the third overall pick, and it's particularly not even close when you look at the gap between he and Saquon. And that's a whole different conversation to be had. But when you look at the AAV, Saquon's just over 20 a year. Gibbs is about to get the bag. That's kind of a time race as far as, between he and Bijan coming out of that same draft class and similar production, similar youth. But having said that, Saquon at that 20 number, it's not going to be less than that, man. It's not, and it shouldn't be. I mean, when you look at the numbers of it, because we similarly to what we were talking about, what you got year over year in London versus knowing what you got year over year in Pitts. We know what Bijan is at this point in terms of the production.
Absolutely.
Carry. He's going to get you 5 yards a carry every effing time. At the end of the year, 4.6, 4.8, 5.2 the last 3 years. That's a 4.9 5-yard per carry kind of guy. That's what you're going to get. No matter what the volume is, that's what you're going to get. The difference is, and where we saw that huge surge this past season, and if he does it again this year, it's really going to get nutty, is the receiving numbers. Guy had 820 yards receiving last year. He had 79 catches. We talk about this, hell, we said if Drake left that Jahan would have been our receiver one. No, he wouldn't. It would have been Bijan. Really? I know I'm joking, but am I? It's like, hell, he is. For him to have gone from a just under 500 receiving yards each of his first 2 years to 820 this past season. See if they open it up even more. I'd expect those kind of numbers out of them as well. Whichever quarterback direction they go. So having said all that, it's like, look, man, and I'm a Falcons fan. I cover the Falcons more than the other 31 teams in the league. Mm-hmm. But I have no bias. But I still can stick to and tell it. That's the best damn running back in the league, man.
You better believe
it.
That's the best running back.
And it's funny. And it's funny you said about contract, because when he was a rookie in the league, he was the highest paid running back at $13.1 million at that point because of the signing bonus and what he got. But they're just rookies. But when you look at long term and you want a number, I just think he researched the market. I'm looking at 5 years, 125 million, somewhere in that range. 125, 130. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's going to be in the 20.
4 for 100 or 5 for 125. But he's going to go over this 20 number, and he should, man. Because if you don't do it, somebody's going to do it.
That's what I was just about to say. Because if you don't just get him that 25 million, it's going to be a problem in 2 years. So you just rate it as high as you can and dare somebody to challenge you. With that kind of player, you just have to do it. And then that's where the Giants messed up with Saquon. You see what happened with that, and we don't want that to happen.
Giants, please don't be the Giants.
The
Falcons won't be the Giants anyway. I believe first of all, we have that to go off of as history of what not to do. So therefore, Bijan is going to get paid. Bijan is going to get taken care of. Thank you for the super DBG gang 11. Said Adam Schefter reported that a Bijan extension is on the way last month. How quickly do you guys think it gets done? And also, will we have enough cap space even to keep Kyle Pitts and JB3? Can't keep everybody, I know. Thank you for the super chat, DBG. I think it's going to come pretty soon. I don't think they're going to drag their feet with it. To be honest, I wouldn't be. When I say soon, I wouldn't be surprised if it still happened this week. I wouldn't be surprised if we're coming all back saying, "Hey, we're back again," because Bijan just got a bag too. And because my
Yeah.
thing, think about it, we're past the June 1st, and you see immediately, like pretty much after that, here comes Drake's extension. So last month, yes, Bijan extension was intimate, pretty much. And then we was talking about that. I definitely believe it's going to happen really soon. There's no point in dragging your feet about it. You need to get ahead of the market, just like how the Falcons got ahead of the market with Drake London. You need to do the same thing with Bijan Robinson, because just like Clint said earlier, yeah, Drake may be the ninth, the ninth best paid. Bijan gonna be number one. Bijan's gonna be number one without question, and he deserves it. And I'm not tripping about it because he's that dynamic, and again, he's that important to the Falcons. So I'm just waiting on it. I believe it's going to happen quickly. It should happen quickly. No point in dragging your feet. Get ahead of the running back market. Get ahead of the Jahmyr Gibbs guys and all the guys like that, and put pressure on other teams instead of having it put on you.
Well, that was my comment. Was the only way he's not number one is if you pull the trigger before Detroit and then Gibbs looks at them and is like, pony up. That's the only way that doesn't happen. But on the flip side of that, Gibbs goes and signs tomorrow. Bijan going to get more than him. And when we talked about like Garrett Wilson baseline, you could just establish that. And I think another thing we got to mention with this Bijan thing, similarly to what we said in Drake, but even more so, Drake is one of the faces of this team. Bijan is the face of this team.
Absolutely.
That is the face of this team. That is the most popular player on this team, league-wide, media, marketing, all that. And let's get real. When you're getting the Beyonce treatment, like we don't even say Bijan Robinson, this dude's so damn big. It's like the drop-off from all of this were you to let him go. One of the two of you mentioned the Saquon debacle.
Yes.
It would be equivalent. Yeah. Outside of the fact that Saquon was the second overall pick, Bijan was the 8th. And I'd lastly just say, it's like, look, you don't take Bijan Robinson 8th overall and whatever off-field concerns you had on Jalen Carter, whatever. You don't take a running back 8th overall over Jalen Carter or whoever else was on the board so you could let his ass walk when he has performed the caliber that you've seen out of Bijan these first 3 years. You don't go and be so quick to pick up his 5th-year option that you do it after 3 years that you're not ready to go write the check.
Right. That's
because another running back in the day, Marshall Faulk, exact same thing happened. Marshall Faulk went from Indy, and they got a 2nd and a 5th round pick for Marshall Faulk, and he goes to St. Louis, ends up being an MVP and winning the Super Bowl. And you don't want that to happen. So history tells us when you got a dynamic running back, find a way to keep him. But to answer the last part of his question, that's true that you can't keep everybody, but they've already found Jesse Bates' replacement in Xavier Watts. Billy Bowman, if he need be, he can switch back to safety. So they're already dotting their T's and crossing their T's and dotting their I's. So trust me, they're on top of it. Another one, Caden Ellis. I knew from the time he played his last game, he wasn't coming back. 1, his age. 2, his contract. 3, they knew they could have got somebody younger, and Jeff Ulbrich, to me, was the catalyst of that. Yeah, they probably wanted Ellis back, but they knew they weren't going to pay that money. So what did they do?
Give
they
a
go
60% salary increase to somebody over 30 years old like New Orleans did.
Facts.
Yes, that is me throwing a shot at New Orleans. You don't give a 60% career best pay raise at somebody 30 plus. And I thought very highly of Ellis. Look, if Ellis was my kid and he was like, oh, but I really like in Atlanta, I look and be like, are you stoned? I'm packing the U-Haul. We're going to New Orleans, bro. Like, you don't say no to that. And I think as well, Ulbrich wanted to go for a little higher athleticism. But no, you're absolutely right. I had to jump in on that to say,
Kendall Daniels, he's a Caden Ellis clone with more speed, more athleticism. So, I mean, they know what they're doing. Harold Perkins is another. If they need, Jalen Walker can move to an off-ball linebacker. So, they have the talent. So, it's just about putting it together and making it gel. So, when you lose somebody, just be ready to pick up. Another name that I'm looking at, that I'm probably going to do a video on tomorrow. I thought about it today. We can see Mike Hughes being traded possibly. If somebody give you a 7th round pick, especially with Avion coming in. Then you still have other guys that they brought in.
Yeah.
I think Mike Hughes is expendable.
The DB room is definitely, I will say, has more talent in it and a more notable names, I think, than last year. Then, of course, you have some guys returning. And so you have some competition there. You're going to have guys like, you still got to see where you're going to put Billy Bowman when he comes back, because he may come back and say, hey, I want my slot back. So it's like you have that issue. You have a couple of veterans out there, a couple of camp bodies. It's so funny seeing Darren Hall as an Atlanta Falcon again. But again, you know, saying camp body, that's what I'm thinking. But again, you're going to go out there and compete, and we're going to have the best guys out there. I wouldn't be surprised if Avion is the number 2 guy, because the coaching staff is already saying he's one of those guys.
Raving about it.
You just can't say, oh yeah, I can put him here and just leave him there. Like he can end up going anywhere. And that's a great versatile player to have. So, you know, he's nipping at Mike Hughes' heels. I don't think they cut him or anything like that for salary cap purposes. But next year, I can see Mike Hughes out of here. Back to
DBG. I have seen a running back with that kind of change of direction. His name is Barry Sanders. Modern day Barry Sanders.
Right.
A name you throw into that discussion, you mentioned nickel, and that's where I'm the most fascinated. And that's one spot on this team,
strength
that the staff has so much more intel than any of us. I don't care how deep you are into it from a consumer. It's that nickel spot. Has Bowman lost a step? What's your timeline there? How do you feel comfortable with it? Do you think of Avion as a nickel specifically? Because I do think that Hughes is kind of your classic NFL staff think higher of him than the consumers.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
And I'll tell you the other one. What do they think of Sidney Brown?
Yeah, you read my mind. That's why I was going.
Brought in as the Bowman insurance.
They traded for him. Yeah, they traded for him.
You know, he's brought in as the Bowman insurance, but he comes in, plays well enough. You know, the second part of that question earlier was, do you think Bates gets re-signed? See, I'm not holding my breath on that, because by the time Bates comes up to be re-signed, you're re-signing Bates to be your safety too. And I realize that's not really how safeties goes.
Yeah.
Versus as a unit, but it's like, look, Watts is primed to be the one going forward. You know, you're not going to pay Bates like the one, knowing that you're coming up with Watts. I'm not holding my breath on that, particularly if you see a surge in a Sidney Brown, in a Terrell, which I expect. Bowman comes back healthy, because, look, that's 6 games he started. He was dog.
Yes.
He was
absolutely.
Dog. I mean, he was absolute dog.
The crazy thing about it, though, Clint, could he possibly...
Before we move on, let's look at the depth chart.
No, I'm just staying with Bowman. Could Bowman, could they move on from Jesse Bates?
Okay, go ahead. You got
Bowman next to Xavier Watts, and that would actually probably help him with recovery and everything too. I know.
I can see it.
I'm just saying, if Sidney Brown or anyone, Avion Terrell, someone is playing that slot position so well,
they could
kind of want to keep him.
Some of the best damn snaps we saw out of Bowman were playing what looked like more of a traditional linebacker. Them playing him at some of that star role, that hybrid linebacker, defensive back. I would just wonder how they would do that with him from a secondary standpoint versus the nickel. You know, I think a lot of people in draft media and scouting viewed Terrell as a nickel. I don't know, man. I think he's a boundary corner.
I do.
I think he's a boundary. So I'm kind of going where I'm almost answering my question.
And we didn't even mention free agent pickup.
Said who the free agent pickup?
We didn't even talk about Darnay Holmes. That slipped my mind. Darnay Holmes is here as well. He's a slot. So so that spot has been upgraded. So we won't have no problem. I hate we lost D. Alford, but
Natron Brooks. He's still in the cornerback room as
CJ
well.
Henderson. And CJ Henderson is still here. Yeah, CJ Henderson is still here. So I mean, we got talent. Kobe Bryant.
Kobe.
Yeah, there's talent.
Kobe. And I think he's been getting snaps at for the cornerback 2 position as well. I know Drake had to catch on him, but Drake has catches on a lot of guys. And Kobe, he's going to get in there and fight too. He's going to get his opportunity. So it's going to be interesting, man. I love the fact that we could just name all those guys because that just means it's going to be competition and we're going to get the best guys on the field. I know some guys are kind of going to get more leverage than others, contract wise, personnel, coaches like them, but still overall, I just love the competition aspect of it. And I don't want to get away from Bijan just because I want to get this last question in about him before we move on. And will
All
Bijan
right.
Robinson, and of course, this is for the chat as well, will Bijan Robinson this year have his best year as a Falcon?
Oof. 2,298 yards from scrimmage last year. That's hard to
I,
top, but whoo, boy. Go ahead, Clint,
almost
because
2,300 total yards, almost 2,300 for Bijan. He was 2
Yeah.
yards off.
Where I would lean on that is just fall back on the previous three because don't nobody love Tyler Algier more than I do.
Hey,
But I do think you get some similar production out of other B Rob coming in as the two. So I don't think it's like he's finna have
Agreed.
a drop off with that. Your quarterback play is not going to have a drop off unless these two fall back on their past injury history, and we're looking at a Jack Strand out there. And I'm not going to assume that conversationally. But, I mean, 4.8 yards per carry, 5.2 the last 2 years. I think you kind of know what he is. It's just a matter of how much volume you give him. I think when you look back at the receiving numbers, there is some more aid there this year, so maybe doesn't match that there. But I don't know, man. No better than the play calling was with Zach Robinson last year. You just have to imagine some more flexibility for him, being able to open it up this year more so. So I'm being a little bit of a wuss in my response to this. I don't know that he can do a ton better, so I'd probably give it an equal mark.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. What you got, Smith?
So he going even. He going even. I can respect that, but I'm gonna have the kahunas and I'm gonna say his production dropped off just a little bit, and the only reason why I say that, you have more weapons at wide receiver with Zachariah Branch, who can also do jet sweeps, run strings, and do the same thing they were doing Bijan last year. Then you look at Olamide Zacchaeus, he can do the exact same thing. But is a question coming up, and this is gonna be my answer when you ask the question. Biggest pickup. Brian Robinson to me is the biggest pickup of the offseason for the Atlanta Falcons. Why?
Love it.
Clint just proved the point. You lose a running back who had 1,000 yards before Bijan got here, and you replace him with another one. So one that battled back from injury after the incident with him being shot, still ran for 1,000 yards. Catches the ball at the backfield just like Bijan does. Same as Tyler Algier, power runner, running in between the tackles. You basically getting a clone, even though Tyler is a former linebacker, so you can't compare that. But when you talk about what you getting penny on the dollar, just like we talk about with the quarterback position, same thing with Brian Robinson. You got the same thing in Tyler Algier for a cheaper price.
Dude, Brian Robinson walking out
I say,
is the hardest thing I've ever seen in my life. Okay. You could just show me. You could just show me him walking out to that, and I'm like, that is the hardest thing I've ever seen in my life. I don't have to question it as far as this guy at the goal line. You couldn't take him down with a gun. We're gonna be fine. I mean, and look, I think too, you know what you got in him. You look across the board, he's a 4 yards per carry guy, downhill, hit you in the mouth. That's what he is. You know what he is, game plan what he is. That's a great, great answer as far as the best addition, just in terms of avoiding drop off there as far as the Algier situation. I love that one a lot.
Well, I will say this. I kind of agree with you guys to an extent, but I will say this. I think this will be Bijan's best year as a Falcon, but in different aspects. I think, he's going to be the best teammate because, like, he's been through so much experience. so far, in his young career, that it's going to be guys that it's going to be his teammates. They might not know what to do in certain situations. He can help them there. Think about guys who like they want to know how to take care of their bodies. Bajan didn't know really what to do when he first came in, but now that he has experience now, because he talked about this last year, he was like, now I kind of know what to do. I got my own routine now. He can help others with that. I believe Bajan again is going to be one of the best teammates, so that's going to help him have a great year. I do believe that this year he will get over 1,000 rushing yards and 1,000 receiving yards. I'm thinking that's where Bajan is headed because last year, you think about it, he was close to 1,500 on the ground and over 820 through the air. So I'm already just, if even if I dial just a little bit of those rush yards back because of B Rob too, you can still possibly see him still being able to get over 1,000 yards just because he's able to get out in space. You're able to use him in the passing game. So I can see 1,000 for and at least 1,000 over rushing, 1,000 over receiving for Bijan Robinson, and a playoff berth. Darn it, first time going to the playoffs. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Somehow, somewhere, we getting there.
Yeah, I mean, we just need a little bit of upgrade at the quarterback position, and we got that. Better play caller. That's all we needed. That's all.
Before you got away from the Brian Robinson mention as far as a best addition, I don't know that I'm necessarily saying this is the best addition, but I'd say this is a dark horse, kind of a sleeper. I think Deshaun Hand needs to get a little more pub at that defensive line spot,
yeah, absolutely.
particularly nose tackle. I mean, 6'3.5", 302, but he can play one tech in this base nickel 3-4 of Ulbricht's. He's a big old strong man, dude. 30 years old. You know what you've got in him coming from his time in Detroit, playing in Miami, Los Angeles last year. They were very fond of him. I mean, he's got over 34.5-inch arms. He is big. He is strong. He is long. He's a former #1 overall recruit signing with Alabama. I think the versatility he gives to handle that nose tackle spot with some of the other guys you have in there. You bring in Mason Smith in the Rook trade. He stays healthy, big body. They want to go more to that archetype. LaCale London was the best interior we had down the stretch last year.
Yep. Correct.
Very, very underrated in his production. I think when you have that, really getting to define what Dorless is off of just that monster year, he was robbed of getting to sniff 10 sacks, having played in 15 games. Zach Harrison, another one, 4.5 sacks in 7 games. Bill a complete health with them, just as far as the 3 down linemen. I think Hand for the pennies on the dollar. He's an underrated one, a guy that's been around the block a few times.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it's crazy. It's crazy. We got a lot of players. Pennies on the dollar. Even last year, Devon Diablo, pennies on the dollar, ended up being one of the best players on the defense. When he went down, the defense fell apart.
Yep, we got to get ready for that extension too.
Yeah, I'm ready for that one though, because I think by him being he's a 4th or 5th round pick of the Raiders. So his extension won't be much. His extension probably, I say, 3 years. I would say 34 to 36 million, somewhere in that range. But it won't kill the bank.
I think you got to get it done, though. You said again, like we talk about when he went down in that 49ers game, it just seemed like the floodgates opened up all the way. We were already struggling against the run game, but it absolutely just, again, the valve just, and it just.
Don't worry, Bertrand's gonna save us.
Oh, he didn't save us. He didn't save us, guys. And Caden Ellis, it put more pressure on Caden Ellis too. Because he was like the communicator in the middle, but it's like, all right, I got to do this, but should I do this because who's behind me? And it's just, oh God. So it was dismal, man. Honestly, again, Devon Diablo, I think first of all, he's a Jeff Ulbrich type of a guy anyway, but you also throw in the Kendall Daniels type of guys like that. And Harold Perkins Jr., man, I think he is a guy that's going to play with his hair on fire and everything, just because stuck out to me when he was just saying how he was just sitting there and just thinking there can't be 200 guys better than me. A guy like that, if he keeps that right there on his shoulder. Yep, can definitely knock somebody's block off as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Look in the chat for those what we were just talking about. I'm gonna give mine as well. Who is the biggest pickup for the Falcons this off season? That's so. Smitty went Brian Robinson, and Clint, you went who again? Who I just said again?
I mixed it up
Deshaun
and went
Hand.
John Hand
Yeah,
as a sleeper versus
yeah.
replicating the answer. Throw a little something different out there.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? It's so crazy. I know last year I went with Nate Ollie. You know what I'm saying? Because again, man, I ain't gonna lie, I really love Nate Ollie. I'm so glad he's in Atlanta. I'm so glad we retained him too. But I'm actually going to go with Bill Callahan as my biggest pickup this offseason.
Wow, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
Man, because I'm
That
looking
is
at
a
it,
good
it's
one.
the
Yeah,
legendary
that's a good
experience
one.
that he's had. You know, so he has all the knowledge. He's having guys do reports on legendary linemen coming in, just little things like that, man. Just because, you know, making people go dig up knowledge, you never know. You can definitely have those guys, you know, some pick up something while they're picking up that knowledge. Like, oh, he did this. Oh, he did this. He did this routine. Well, let me, you know what I'm saying, tweak this and, you know, put this in my routine because this is a legendary person, you know, type thing. So I enjoy the little reports. I enjoy the little things. Sometimes it's the little things that add up to the big performances. So I love
Agreed.
that. I love his resume. And you think about it, if he can't get the best out of all the guys that we have, like who the heck can? You
Yeah.
know, so it's just like, you know, so
He got a challenge at right tackle and center. So if he can work both of those positions out and keep everything on the up and up, that's just legendary.
yep. I was between the two because but I've already done a video solely on Alex Van Pelt. So like honestly, but that's a great one right there too, DBG for sure.
Stud.
Check that
Yeah.
super chat before we go on.
Oh yeah, super chat, super. Set up Miss
Miss
Drea
Drea,
back. I just
go
hope
ahead. You
that
got it.
we have enough talent on the squad where we don't overuse Bijan. And yes, that is something that you don't want to do because you've seen Christian McCaffrey. He is the really the prime example on how it was happening in with Carolina and then
Right.
and a little and in San Francisco. So you know, overall, you don't want him to go down that route. That's another reason, of course, why I was pounding the table about we should keep Tyler Algier. We did not, but we did. But I did say as soon as Tyler left, the first and only running back that I was naming was Brian Robinson Jr. So I'm
Yeah.
glad that he was able to do that. And
Yeah, but
go
with
ahead.
Brian Robinson, you don't skip a beat because he has the same type dual threat ability like Bijan. So you don't skip a beat. So yeah, that's another reason why I think his number take a dip just a little bit because you got to take some of that wear and tear off his legs. And what better way to do that than go get the same type running back? Makes sense.
Oh,
I'll tell you too, if I didn't know we were doing coaches, I might have thrown old Tanner Engstrand in there as the pass game coordinator.
like
Hell,
it.
he's who I wanted to be the offensive coordinator over Reese.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, like, not just leaning on you, I have my own opinion of him, but just the validation of you listen to all those Jets fans last year. They were like, oh, dude, he's a stud. We didn't want him to go. He's been great. I mean,
I actually heard something similar from a Jets fan. It was like, man, you got a dog in Instrom. And I'm going to say something. They even said, don't be surprised if Tommy Reese is not, it ends up wetting the bed. Don't be surprised if Engstrom comes and steps in, not Van Pelt, because Van Pelt is kind of like, you know, the mob boss type figure. You know what I'm saying? He's kind of sitting back and just overseeing everything. But
Yeah.
that's the thing that they did mention because they are that high on Tyler on Engstrom. For sure.
I thought Engstrom was going to wind up with Ben Johnson in Chicago, but
I
just
did
don't
too.
know if this is a situation
too.
he might have the potential to get to that point of actually calling the plays versus in Chicago with all that experience and well-spoken endorsement that Johnson's had of him.
Right.
He's a stud. The insurance of having him, like I said, he is who I was quoted as saying I wanted him to hire. To have gotten him just in the door was such a steal.
Right.
Yeah.
And think about this too, y'all. Depending on how things go, like let's say we're having a great season. If Tommy Reese moves out the door because he's going to take a head coach or whatever type of job from the type of season that we have, if you can retain one of those guys, you never know. You can have one of those guys slide right into the spot. So it's like you have multiple heads. You got Van Pelt, you got Enstrom, Tommy Reese. You know, I love the fact that we have multiple coaches and everything is making sense. Everything even down to the two left-handed quarterbacks instead of one throwing right, one throwing left. It's just the little things that this staff is doing. Every starting off practices under center, ending the practices all under center, absolutely killing the narrative about guys can't play under center. So it's just like they're coming in, they're doing the scheme their way. They're not letting players dictate anything. They're saying, hey, this is how we do it. Let's see if you can do it. And if you can't, then you just won't hit the field.
Agreed. RB, thank you for that donation, my brother. Truly appreciate it. But throw a question in there. You threw the donation up. Throw a question out there. 82 said, I don't think people understand how for real we finna come this year. That nervous chatter from Atlanta, from a lot of fans I'm seeing, got to stop. I mean, they're going to be nervous regardless, because when has the last time we had a winning season? We've been hyping them up for the last 8 years and nothing happened. So I get it. But when you get veteran coaches like we've talked about, Bill Callahan, offensive staff, you got to be excited about that. Especially if you study football, you got to be excited.
No, facts. Absolutely, man. And I will say this, man. Hey, man, we've been talking really good, and we really would talk all night if we can, but we're not ending it just yet. But I do have a question. I'm gonna kind of like skip more toward the end. I want to know from you guys, still Falcon related, who should be the next inductee of the Ring of Honor for the Atlanta Falcons?
Jones.
Ooh, that was quick, Clint. Quick on the draw.
They need to cut that. They need to cut that BS.
They need to cut out. Man, I do agree.
Matt Ryan can't be your mediator as far as cutting out that BS in terms of. And do I think that Matt Ryan's the greatest Falcon? Yes, but in terms of talent, 11's the best that's ever been in the building.
Yeah,
I know some people will respond and say Prime was here 4 years. Okay. For the extension that Julio was here, the fullness of his prime. That is my favorite player to watch I've ever seen in my lifetime. That is the most iconic player we have had there in my lifetime. That is the most intimidating player we have had there in my lifetime. I have never seen opposing players like, how people talk about how Tiger used to just make guys' backsides get tight and they'd get all nervous and sweaty and they just choke. Julio was that of the NFL.
Yeah.
Who made people stay up the night before in the hotel nervous because they knew they were going to get their ass torched the next day.
Yeah.
It's like, I understand whatever it is, him and blank and the exit, yeah. That is just flat out not to have that dude in the Ring of Honor with a Matt Ryan, with a Roddy White, for those to have been the icons. That I'm about sick of that.
I'll give you another one. I'm going old school.
Okay.
And me and a former Falcon had this conversation. I'll give you two on. First one, I go Terrence Mathis. A lot of people don't give him credit, but when his career ended with the Falcons, he had the lead in receptions, yardage, and touchdowns. Then you go John Abrahams, sack leader. Trade with the Jets and the Broncos, 3-team trade. When you look at what they done for the team, they should have been in the Ring of Honor. If you go now, I get it. The Ring of Honor is just top notch. But when you have two guys like that, their whole team records are hell team records, you got to give them a platform. So those two guys, I think, and Patrick Kearney, you can say Patrick Kearney as well.
Oh,
but
man, he was my
Terrence Mathis and John Abraham absolutely need to be in the Ring of Honor. And I agree with Julio. And you look, Clint, you just gave me a great idea on the short. I'm gonna have people fighting about this. Who was the biggest icon? Now I got another person to add to that.
Yep.
I talked about Dion. I talked about Mike Vick. Now you add Julio to that equation. Who do you pick? Who do you pick? Julio because of
Julio.
Yeah, Julio because of his extensive career. I mean,
that body of work.
95 yards a game receiving at one point. More than anybody in the NFL until that back part of his career, he dropped.
There's an argument to be had as far as just this nucleus of Atlanta and just this nucleus of Falcons fans that Vic was the most iconic to those guys.
Yeah.
There's an argument there. But
And then he
Yeah.
played the most important position too. You know,
Agreed.
playing as quarterback, being like one of the only few people to do what he was doing. What like the only thing, the closest thing at that time with Vic, if I'm not mistaken, was Randall Cunningham. So it's like, okay, Vic comes out doing all those things, breaking records, all that stuff. It's just phenomenal. But I still would make an argument for Julio Jones, man, coming in day one, being, I mean, Roddy was the number one wide receiver on his rookie season. But you could already tell, even in his rookie season, this guy is about to dominate the league for the next few years. And he did just that. And just think about things that he did on, bad toes, bloody toes, all that stuff like that, having all 300-yard games, just everything. Like, again, and Clint talked about how Julio Jones used to make guys tremble with fear. He would make guys make all kind of business decisions because you think about it, is he could run. He had size and speed that you just was not supposed to have. And the way that he run routes and break off his route and guys not knowing exactly what he's going to do, he made so many guys make business decisions because and it made so many guys quit. Think about the NFC Championship game. Think about that 300-yard game. You could see the DBs just absolutely just say, there's nothing I can do with him. And, 31 teams all feel the same way. When a lot of guys, you ask them as far as they play that DB position, period, they ask them who is one of the best wide receiver, who's putting fear in your heart. They all say Julio. They all say Julio Jones, aka Quintaris Lopez Jones. So it's like that guy for me. I have his jersey because if anything, I like the way that it went down. Nobody does, but Julio earned my respect with his longevity and his consistent play over and over again. Anytime that any defense coming out there, they're already and always saying, "Where's 11? Where's 11?"
Yeah. And the crazy thing about it, when you talk about greatest receivers all time, right now his name doesn't even come up. But when you talk about hard to defend, he right up there with Jerry Rice, Calvin Johnson, Terrell Owens, Randy Moss, all those guys. He's there.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree. I like
that's
a good conversation.
I love the Mathis mention. I just wanted to touch on that real quick. That was such an underrated response. I'll tell you another aspect of Mathis, aside from just the resume of play, but really looking at the influence in the state. This is a Georgia native.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Mathis, man. He one of my biggest supporters, Clint. I've had him on the show many times.
I was the head coach at Morehouse, man.
Yeah.
The guys coached in GHSA, Blessed Trinity. Yes. My kids are zoned to go to Blessed Trinity. Fellowship Christian, Pinecrest. Hell, he started out coaching at Savannah State, man, HBCU. It's like the influence for him to have
college all-star games. Yeah.
7 years, 7 seasons. I mean, you're talking about a guy that was nearly a 9,000-yard receiver in the league. To have been drafted about 170 pounds soaking wet with a towel around him after a big breakfast. I mean, that's dog, man. No, that was a really underrated mention. I just wanted to tip my cap to that. When you said that, I was like,
hey, Clint, I'm telling you, growing up in the 90s, watching the Falcons, and the most amazing thing about it, coming over from New York, and me and him had this conversation. Coming over from New York, really didn't know how to use his talent. He was mainly a special teams return guy. Gets to Atlanta very first year, Pro Bowl season, takes off. After that, smooth sailing. And with, I think it was 94, where we had those 3 receivers that had 1,000 yards. He was a key catalyst to that, with Jeff George as your quarterback. So, look, Terrence Mathis, he just left it all out on the field every single Sunday. Playing the slot, playing the X, the Y, anyone, key catches. Minnesota NFC Championship game, who was making the key catches?
Yeah,
I think about that, and this is in no way a slight to anyone that is currently in the Falcons Ring of Honor. When my old man, we'd be talking about recruits with the Georgia Bulldogs, that was his ultimate thing.
Okay.
Somebody, we don't know if we're going to, he'd always say, we ain't got 85 better. It's like, you got guys in that ring of honor that don't need to be there anymore. And Terrence Mathis, that was, I would tip my cap as that was my favorite answer for me to have said Julio before the question even got quit being read.
Yeah, and the thing with me, I just like to give gratitude to the guys that did their thing before Arthur Blank got here. It seemed like they just don't get no credit. Chuck Smith is another good friend of mine.
Yeah.
I talked to him about this. They need to start showing those guys love, man. They need to, because without that '98 Super Bowl team, this thing we see now with culture, it never happens. It never happens without that team.
And Terrence Mathis, I can definitely say like he was the wide receiver and one of the players that when I really started to, kind of like get grasp football as a kid and everything, like he was one of the guys and that really helped me be a Falcon fan and really like kept me, with the logo, because Terrence Mathis was hey man, he was a dog. I'm just straight up and tell you, he was a dog. So
right,
man, shout out to Terrence Mathis, man. Always appreciative. I've even told him too, to his face and I ain't on via social media. Hey man, if it wasn't for you, man, you were one of the guys that got me to be with the logo. I don't know, because the reason why I say that, because my dad, he was a Steelers fan. So I could have been
he
ended
did
up
go to Pittsburgh. He did go to Pittsburgh. He played, and actually my cousin played on the team with him in Pittsburgh for one season. So yeah, look, I mean, Terrence, he was that guy. We always talk about Rising. We know what Rising can do. But Terrence Mathis took a lot of that pressure off of him. Part of the reason why he was always open. 16 touchdowns in one season, mainly because Mathis took the pressure off of him. So hey, I'm just saying.
Well, since we've already mentioned Terrence Mathis, Julio Jones has been mentioned. I think I know you was talking about a couple guys like Pat Kearney and all that stuff like that. You can really mention a lot of
those. Abe should be there.
Yeah. And I believe that his day should be coming. It should be coming, but I'm gonna go a different route. I'm gonna say possibly the next member of the Falcons Ring of Honor, the way that it's been going and going to Smitty's point about the past guys before Arthur Blank, I would not be surprised that a few days, maybe a year after he retires, Jake Matthews.
Yeah.
Jake Matthews is absolutely going to the Ring of Honor.
That's a lock.
Yep. Absolutely.
As it should be.
That's another good one. Travis Hall.
Yeah, Travis Hall.
5th round pick out of BYU. Lit it up. I think he's still top 5 in sacks in Falcons history right now.
I like this one about Grady Jarrett. I mean, he left it out there for the Falcons as well. But that's like, for me, I just think about how long Jake has been here, even longer than Grady was.
Man.
And Drake London, it's not Drake London. Shout out to Drake London again for getting the bag. But Jake Matthews, he embodies everything as a Falcon. He's played with really every Falcon that we've had since Matt Ryan, so every Falcon quarterback, he's been there, he knows about the Julio Jones, the Roddy Whites, and everything that happened after that. He's been through everything. If Jake Matthews wanted to write a book, I would damn sure read it. I'm not gonna lie to you, because he's been through everything with the Falcons, all the different regimes, Thomas Dimitroff, Terry Fontenot, and now Ian Cunningham. He's been through all that, man. So it's like, I gotta go.
And Matthews might be kind of a softer spoken guy, more professional kind of guy, handsome dude. That's a tough SOB, dude.
Yep.
I think you would about have to run Jake Matthews over with your Ford pickup truck for him not to go and start on a Sunday.
That's true.
And his old man,
he's better back up.
His daddy played 19 seasons in the league. Jake's coming up on about 14. Hell, for all we know, we don't even know how much longer this is going to go.
We don't.
He's still playing competitive football. That's an absolute lock.
Yeah. He's up there with Mike Ken and Bob Whitfield. When you talk about top tackles in Falcons history, he's right there. So, I agree.
That's where I'm at. So that's what I was thinking. I was like, we're talking about all these people. I think the next guy may be still on the roster right now. Because again, but to Clint's point, we don't even know how long he wants to play. I mean, if he wants to play till he's 40, if it's at a high level,
he can do it. His dad played till he was 40 down there, so he can do it. Right. And Clay, his uncle Clay Matthews played for the Falcons. I think he was over 40. 38, 39, 40, he was somewhere in there. So, I mean, it's in their genes, in their DNA.
They straight up love that stuff too, because you know that
Yeah.
the old family vault isn't exactly struggling for cash
at all.
Boy,
At all.
Granddad even played in the league. So,
Right,
yeah.
That
Well, hell,
family's good.
I'll tell you the one little snippet you'd add to the John Abraham mention. How do
Okay.
you not put the all-time sack leader in franchise history in there?
Like, what are we doing?
Me and Abe had this conversation.
68
Crazy.
and a half sacks as a Falcon.
Me and Abe had this conversation, just like he talked about the Hall of Fame. He said to me, he's not the meatiest cup of tea. 133 and a half sacks at the time of his retirement, top 10.
47 forced fumbles. That's fourth all time. That's
at one point it was the most. Yeah, at one point it was the most. So
8 double-digit sack seasons, and that's with a 9.5 sack season in 2011.
Oh boy, see, man.
Signed a napkin for me in a bar one time. Great guy.
Oh boy, me and Abe had some legendary conversation. Man, dude is he funny. Right. He funny. Right. Boy.
Right here, we gotta. Now, this is not Falcon related, but we're gonna. Yeah, this is not Falcon related, but real quick before we wind. Okay, well, we're about to wind this down, but this is coming from Jordan Schultz. Said, I text Aaron Donald about coming out of retirement and playing with the Rams alongside Myles Garrett.
Oh, we know it was coming. Come on, Chris.
Yeah, we
talked about this soon as it happened.
Yeah,
soon as it went through. First thing came out of our mouth. You know if it happened, don't you?
Right. He better come back because it makes sense. Everything lines up, and he said it right here. I'm sure flirting with the idea. Hell of an opportunity with the Super Bowl and SoFi this year. If I can find the fire, it's a possibility.
I don't know Donald personally, and I sound like I'm being silly, but I mean, this is really all I can think. The only way I can think this doesn't happen is if his wife tells him, your ass ain't going back.
That's it.
That's the only reason I can think about it.
That's it.
That's it.
Talk to the wife, you know what I'm saying? Make sure the
wife says, good. You're not going back. And he's like, okay. Otherwise,
if they talk about it like really legit, and the wife say, "Hey man, go do what you go do," hey, he's going to be back in that uniform, and it's not like they got to find snaps for him. He's going to hit the field. So yeah, man.
Let me tell you though. Let me tell you what's going to fix that. He's still on the contract with them, so when he comes back, he's going to get a good paycheck. So he and they just got married not too long ago. She get a new Rolls Royce. The
Rosie always takes care of it.
Always, and boy, look, I'm telling you, that's water up under the bridge.
Shape, he could pick up that Rolls Royce on his own back.
He probably. I'm trying to tell you, man, that man workouts. Like I would love to either document it or, you know what I'm saying, be somewhere around it. Just because, again, man, this man, 45 minutes is like a warm-up for him. And then he goes after that. And it's just like, and you seen even in the warm-up that he had, it was like 4 days ago. He had posted like 2 days before let's see. It was about 4 days ago, probably like 5 now. Yeah, he had posted a video of him working out, talking about ready. And then all of a sudden, here comes the Myles Garrett thing. It's just like, bro, what are we doing? Come on, man.
But let me say this. Anybody that trains with knives, just stay out their way. That's all I got to say. Just stay out the way.
Got to get that hand right. Got to have them hands right. You know, so again, he plays a premium position. So, you know, we'll see what happens with that. You know, that I don't even think we played it. No, we don't even play the round. So the only time we would have to worry about them is in the playoffs. Doing that. Wouldn't mind.
The only way that this trade affected us is the fact that at the end of the year, us playing the Browns, we now don't have to see Garrett. Yeah, we get Jared Verse, and Jared Verse is very, very good edge. But kind of like earlier in this episode where we said Bijan's the best running back in the league. He's the best running back in the league. We don't need to talk about it. He's the best running back in the league. Myles Garrett's the best pass rusher in the league. We don't need to talk about it.
That's true.
And then the crazy thing about it, like I said on the video I put up, we ain't even talking about how they upgraded the secondary. We ain't even talking about that at both cornerback position. Just paid one of their safeties bukus of money. Man, look.
Duffy, you got Cam Curl, you got Watson
Kitchens,
out there too.
Kitchens, yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
You still got young
Nate
Kobe.
Lemon is there at linebacker.
Yep,
So
Nate Lemon. Oh God, I still
man,
can't believe we did that. They signed him
man.
for $1 million, and he went out there and balled and got his well-deserved extension. So like, hey, but it is what it is, man. Fellas, this has been an awesome. I'm talking about awesome monster show. We also got to thank Drake London for also, agreeing to the Atlanta Falcons for also help making this an awesome show. And of
Right.
course, each and every last one of you guys, because again, we had like a little script, but a few of y'all questions we just had to try to get to as many comments as we could to bringing them up on the screen, because we appreciate each and every last one of y'all. Fellas, please, by all means, let the people know where they can find you, fellas.
Go ahead, Clint.
Yeah, one-stop shop. You can just find me on Twitter, very active there daily at my namesake, Clint Goss, or at NFL Draft Dome. There's links there for my own personal YouTube as well, and my Substack. Some newer projects there versus all the kind of guest appearances and things of the like I've done in the past. But I describe my Twitter activity. A lot of Falcons. If you don't follow the Falcons, it's not enough to bother you. If you follow the Falcons, it's a lot to enjoy. And then just NFL draft year round.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Clint already working on next year. He already working on it.
So when we get into probably the back end of the schedule, we're gonna start reaching out and say, man, what we gonna do at this spot? Because if we in that 20 range, we go in that 20 range, it's definitely offensive line. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, man, y'all know where to find me, Smitty Sports Machine, right here on YouTube. Also find me on Twitter, also at FatBoySlim_21. I'm always over there blowing that thing up. Just did a few minutes ago. But Clint, I got a quick question for you, man. I know you do the draft videos. Pull up a clip of Kevin White, the receiver that when he got to the league, he just fell off. That dude was a superior talent in college. I just don't know what happened. I just don't know.
I know exactly who you talking about too. Guy went to
Kevin
the
White,
Bears.
the Bears. Yeah.
Yeah, he
That
played
dude.
for the Bears. Yeah, he did fall out of it. Oh gosh. It's almost like the same. Well, it's almost similar. Like remember Treylon Burke? Like I think he's with Washington now, but he's bouncing around. Right.
See, the difference there is I never liked the idea of Burke. That was just forcing that was forcing yourself, like rebounding after a bad breakup. It's like trying to tell your buddies that she's just as cute as your ex. Nah, man.
What did you have him rate? What did you have him rated? What round?
I thought of Burke's closer to an early third, late second kind of dude. I thought that was Reach City. I'll never forget seeing the anger just coming out of Mike Vrabel after that situation. You really set that kid up for failure.
Yeah,
coming off that AJ
no
Brown
quarterback.
Situation. Kevin White, that's what I'm going to put on the short list right there to look back into. It was some of these old. Really, here at the end of May, I've been doing a lot of those vintage NFL draft clips.
Yeah, I've been watching them. Sean Merriman, my favorite.
That's a lot right here. Kind of this little bit of a dead period. I'm going to have that one circled. I'm going to be thinking of you when I do that one here soon.
Yeah. I like that Sean Merriman. That was one of my favorite sleeper picks.
That one was kind of cool because, like, not to be, but like, I have a lot of times where I'll write about somebody or do a video about somebody or whatever, and they share it. That was one that was pretty cool when Sean Merriman retweeted that and just said, "Look at that meathead."
Oh man, that one was
awesome. Cool. That's cool.
That's cool. Awesome, man.
Yeah, that one was nostalgic when I saw that. I mean,
Merriman was
not to go on here because I know we're wrapping up, but it's like
it's all good, man. Go ahead.
DeMarcus Ware and Sean Merriman went back to back right there.
That was crazy. So either way, either team would have won. Yeah, they
Cowboys got it right in terms of the
longevity. Yeah, long term longevity. Yeah, absolutely. Ms. Drill, thank you for that donation. Truly appreciate it with the super sticker. Truly appreciate it. But Chris, go ahead.
Well, y'all can find me at A1 Forever Sports. That's the platform on YouTube. Come over, like, comment, and subscribe. Be a part of the A1 family. Also, catch me on the Falcons Digest as well, and also Hawks Digest over at the Digest Media channels. Man, we are over there just climbing consistently. So we appreciate each and every last one of you guys that are subscribed to Falcons Digest, Hawks Digest, and the good old A1 Forever Sports. Really appreciate that. Also, make sure you find your peace today, 9:24 at night. So hopefully you guys will find your peace, because positive energy always creates elevation. Thank you guys for elevating this show as y'all always do. Thank you to Clint, Smooth Smitty, myself. And again, like I said, man, we're going to be back at you. We're going to figure out some more topics. We got some more things brewing as well, as far as like guests and everything too. So we're always working. So don't think that we just chilling. But until next time, man, peace and blessings to y'all. And to y'all, we out. We'll holla.
Peace.